So I've made a lot of videos looking at the main villains of the Arrowverse, like ranking them from worst to best, ranking them by their powers, and ranking them by their costumes, etc. In this video, I will be doing another video like that, looking at all the actors and actresses who portrayed these characters, the 20 main villains of the Arrowverse, although 2 of them don't really have an actor. One of them is Neuron, who doesn't really have an actor at all, and Mullis, who has only a voice actor, which I would have included, but it's a little hard to judge a voice actor in comparison to all the live-action actors on this list, so I just decided that Mullis and obviously Neuron will not be included in this list. So I'll be looking at all the actors and actresses and ranking them for how well I think they portrayed their characters and their general acting ability. This is not really limited to any one season. It's a little bit harder to distinguish between the seasons of how good an actor is compared to how good a character is, so this is just basically their portrayal of the character, the main villain, over the course of any season they appeared in. So with that in mind, let's start the list with number 18.
How will you respond?
I accept your challenge, Supergirl. We duel in 4 hours. Daxam assures you it will be your last.
I feel like TERI Hatcher was literally just hired for the show because she is a legacy actress. She played Lois Lane in the 90s Superman show, and that's not a very good reason to cast an actor. Like, I feel like they didn't even try to get a good actress for this. She wasn't very good at all. There was a lot of overacting. I know that the writing for the character and how they handled the character was bad, but I feel like a large part of why this character didn't work at all was the acting from TERI Hatcher, which I think was very bad.
Does not save the lives of your family. I may die, but you will live knowing that you failed to save the lives.
Vandal Savage is one of the more poorly casted characters in the Arrowverse, especially when you look at the main villains. I'm not going to say that CASPER CRUMP is a terrible actor. I've never seen him in anything else. I just think he was very poorly cast as Vandal Savage, which is something that I need to take into consideration for this list. His accent is very hard to get past, like especially in comparison to other versions of Vandal Savage. Like for the character, it's very hard to get past in the season. It doesn't help that he didn't really have any great moments of good acting, so because of all that, he's going to be very low on the list.
You've been lying this entire time? Everything about our father? Your debt to Dante?
It was all true, but I never needed you to put me back together. I just knew you'd try. Can't resist playing the hero, can you?
From the second that she started acting evil in episode 17, I'm pretty sure, SHIMOOKA just basically lost all ability to act as the character Amigo Queen. She became incredibly overacting. Like before that, I'm pretty sure she was fine. She wasn't great or anything, but she was fine as an actress. But afterwards, she was terrible. I cringed every single time she talks. Her line delivery is terrible. It doesn't help that the lines are bad itself, but you can't have terrible lines that you deliver well. She just delivered everything so terribly. And it didn't help that she was basically every scene with Stephen Amell, the best actor on the show. Well, she was probably the worst, so it really highlighted how bad she is as an actress.
Her strength or your weakness. You owe Allura nothing, certainly not a daughter's life.
Kara is not her mother. She can be made to see reason.
I sometimes wonder if any of the women in your family can.
You forget yourself, Lieutenant.
Non is a very generic villain and a very boring villain, and the writing and everything, that the development for the character was boring, and it really doesn't help that the actor added absolutely nothing to the role. He was very bland, very boring in the role. He didn't really add any great moments or anything. The rivalry he brought with Kara was basically nothing, so I think that while Chris Vance was fine in the role, I think he could have been a good second main villain, second in command to Astra if Astra was the main villain, as she has a much better connection to Kara, but that was kind of thrown out the window in the season, leaving Non as the villain, leaving an actor who didn't really deserve to be cast as a main villain at all.
To take care of something important. When I get back, we're gonna figure out how you get your powers back.
I think Sarah Carter was a little better as an actress or an actor in general than the actor who played Cicada version 2, especially at portraying an evil character. That being said, she only ever portrayed an evil character. She never had any other dimensions to the character. She never added any more sides to the character at all. That might be because of the writing, but I think it's also in part because of the acting. Acting in general is a big part of any given character, and I think that Cicada version 2 was a very one-dimensional character in terms of she was just entirely evil the entire time, and I don't think Sarah Carter really added anything to the role at all.
Tell your boy I said hello.
Kirk Acevedo definitely had some good moments as in the role of Ricardo Diaz, but I think mostly he left a lot to be desired. He had like this mumbling voice about him, which I feel like that was because of the actor, not because of the writing, which was a little bit distracting at times, made him a little bit less threatening, and I could barely understand what he was saying sometimes. Because of that, he's going to be lower on the list, but I gotta say, basically every actor from Diaz to the bottom of the list, or the top of the list, were pretty good in their role, with Ricardo Diaz being the worst of the not bad actors who played main villains in the Arrowverse.
Don't be afraid, my son. Death comes for us all. We can only evade it so long. Consider this an honorable exit.
From Batman Begins to Gotham to Arrow, Matt Nable is probably the worst actor who played Ra's al Ghul out of those three in terms of the live-action Ra's al Ghuls, but I still think he's pretty good in the role. I definitely think he didn't really get enough things to do in the season, but in terms of portraying the mystical and side of the character and like the kind of 500-year-old side of the character, I think he did a pretty good job at that. Still not as good as Liam Neeson or the actor who played him in Gotham, but I still think that Ra's al Ghul has just been very well cast over the course of his live-action career, and although Matt Nable is the worst of the Ra's al Ghuls, I still think he was definitely not bad in the role at all.
Cause and effect's a tricky thing. Didn't work so well for Eddie, did it? Shot himself in the chest. Dawn's still kicking around. See, that's the thing about time travel, Barry. The more you do it, the less the rules apply to you. But us having this conversation.
There's no denying that Grant Gustin is a pretty great actor who portrays by far the best live-action Barry Allen we've ever seen out of the three, but as Savitar, he's definitely not as great. I still think he's good at the role, like as the evil Barry Allen, the scarred evil Barry Allen who was shunned by the team. I think he portrayed that relatively well. I don't think he got enough screen time as the character to portray the character enough, but I feel like the limited screen time he got, he was definitely pretty good. If this was counting his entire career as the Flash, he would definitely be a lot higher on the list, but it doesn't. It's only counting as Savitar, the scarred pizza face Barry Allen.
This charade, running around dressed like the Flash.
To give people hope, Detective.
Hope.
So I could rip it away from them. It's so fun pretending to be a hero.
I've always said that I think Zoom is a lot better when he's masked, and I definitely still think that is true. I mean, I haven't changed my opinion at all on that. I think he's a lot scarier, more menacing, and he has a better rivalry with Barry when he is masked. That being said, Teddy Sears, the actor who played Jay Garrick, as well as Hunter Zolomon, the same character, definitely did a relatively good job in the role. Again, he's not as good as when he is masked, but he's still definitely a pretty good villain who portrays a pretty good, just a sadistic maniac serial killer, and he still has a relatively good rivalry with Barry Allen. Still, though, he's not anywhere close to Zoom's placing in just a main villain ranking because of the fact that he's better when he's masked, and the actor who played the masked version is not Teddy Sears.
Fretting about this city dying. I'm here on behalf of an organization that wants you to let it die. See, death is a beautiful thing. We die, we go into the ground, our remains grow into flowers. It's only in the interval after dying that new things can sprout.
That's enough.
So Damien Darhk is a little bit weird because typically I put him a lot lower on the list. I just don't think he's a very good villain at all, especially in Arrow Season 4. But I think the best thing about the character, the one thing they absolutely nailed, was the casting of Neil McDonough in the role. He has a certain charisma and charm, a kind of menacing charisma and charm to the role that I think really worked for the character, even in Arrow Season 4, but mostly in Legends of Tomorrow Season 2 and especially Season 3, which I'm counting those seasons as well. I think that Neil McDonough does a great job in the role, and because of that, he is is way higher on this list than just a regular main villains list.
To obliterate. You tore those men apart. You ripped the limbs from their body and you dragged them across the beach.
Why are you doing this? Why? I just want to go home to my daughter!
Like I'd let someone like you near Ruby. How dare you?
I think ODETTE Annabelle did a great job in the roles of both Rain and Samantha Arias. She portrayed the dual identity and the conflict there between those two characters, the two sides of her, very well between Samantha and Rain. I think she was a pretty good Samantha, and she definitely added some sort of menacing aspect to the role of Rain, and I think she has a lot of great emotional moments in the season as well, so she is relatively high on the list.
You know what you have to do? You have to take me back to that night and let me finish what I started. You go to hell! You're taking both of us there! Now who's the villain, Flash? Now who's the villain?
Matt Letcher is just a perfectly cast Eobard Thawne. He looks the part, he acts the part, he has a great rivalry with Grant Gustin's Barry Allen, even while he's portrayed by Matt Letcher. I think that while Matt Letcher is definitely not as good an actor as the other actor who played Reverse Flash, Tom Cavanagh, I think that he is a better overall Reverse Flash, at least outside of the context of the Flash Season 1, where in that season it made sense that Tom Cavanagh was portraying the role. Outside of that season, it doesn't really, and I would not mind if Matt Letcher just portrayed Eobard Thawne, aka the Reverse Flash, going forward just entirely. That being said, I don't think he's necessarily as good an actor, which is why he is a lot lower on the list than Tom Cavanagh.
No, Mr. Allen, you've already lost and you never even realized it. Congratulations on your upcoming nuptials. I'll be thinking of you.
The fact that Neil Sandilands is this high in the list really shows how much wasted potential they had in the character of Clifford DeVoe, aka the Thinker. I'm not going to get into here because I've mentioned it so many other times because of the body swap thing, but I think Neil Sandilands did such an incredible job in the role as Clifford DeVoe. I think that he portrayed this evil, calculating character, maybe not, a little less on the evil, but the calculating guy he portrayed so incredibly well. I think the writing for the character when he was portrayed by Neil Sandilands was way better for some reason, like his conversation I just showed with Barry Allen, his scenes where he's just really powerful. He does a great job in those scenes as well. It just sucks how little he got to portray the character, because I think if he did portray the Thinker for the entirety of the season, I think Clifford DeVoe could have been on par with Zoom and even the Reverse Flash as the great main villains of the Flash.
I trusted you, Alex.
You're either dumb or staggeringly naive. You had my history at your disposal, internet accessible. If you had bothered to look, you would have realized two things. Defending poor, broken Cosnia as little small potatoes for Lex Luthor, but perhaps more significantly, I hate Kryptonians. And what are you?
In the just 3 episodes that he appeared in, Jon Cryer cemented himself as one of the best actors in the entirety of the Arrowverse and made it into the top 5 of this list. I think that he portrays the best live-action version of Lex Luthor ever, which is a very hard task to accomplish, especially in just 3 episodes. I think that he portrays his hatred for Kryptonians and his rivalry with Superman so incredibly well, in spite of the fact that Superman never appeared with him in the season or on screen with him at all, although he did appear once in the season in the crossover. Anyway, I think Jon Cryer does such an incredible job in the role that he manages to make it into the top 5, despite the fact that not only did he barely appear, he was on Supergirl, which typically has pretty terrible writing and pretty bad acting, but for some reason, both the writing and the acting seem to shoot up in quality whenever Jon Cryer was on screen, and I think that he's just an incredible actor, just from the couple episodes we saw him in, and I cannot wait to see more of the character and more of Jon Cryer in the future of the Arrowverse if we do.
What do you want?
"5 years ago, I made you a promise. Do you remember? Well, I'm here to fulfill it. I'll see you around, kid."
Manu Bennett has played a couple different versions of Slade Wilson. There's the Lian Yu one from before he was under the influence of the Mirakuru. Then there's the Mirakuru one, who is just insane, and he's incredibly calculating and menacing. Then there is the post-Mirakuru one, which is mostly filled with regret and remorse for what he's done, and it's just always great to see him return. I definitely think that Manu Bennett just mastered the role of Slade Wilson in all three of these versions. He did a great job in the flashbacks of Lian Yu, showing his origin story, becoming Slade Wilson, and then whilst he's under the influence of the Mirakuru, Manu Bennett just does such a great job at portraying this insane, calculating, menacing villain in Arrow Season 2, and obviously it's always great to see Slade Wilson return in the other seasons, especially when we saw him return in Arrow Season 5 and 6. A part of that is because of the actor Manu Bennett, who I just think was perfectly cast in the role, and did a great job in basically every single version of Slade Wilson he was given.
Actor in time, she dies. Now, you could try torturing me for her location. We both know what you're capable of in that department, but I think that we both know what I'm capable of. So, Holly, who do you think can last longer? Susan or me? Oh, I'm 10 steps ahead of you, and you haven't even figured out what game we're playing yet.
Josh Segarra was just so perfect in the role of Adrian Chase, Simon Morrison, and Prometheus. I think he just did such an incredible job. Before he was unmasked, he did a great job at, I'm pretty sure he played Prometheus like he was in the suit the entire time. So because of that, and the way we see him in the episodes leading up to him being revealed, basically every single episode since the first episode of the season, where if you look back on it, you can see the subtle hints towards the fact that he is Prometheus, and I think that is mostly because of the actor, and he just did such a great job there. But after he is unmasked, the season goes insane, and that is a large part to do with Josh Segarra as an actor. His rivalry with Stephen Amell's Oliver Queen is insanely good. In the kind of small amount of episodes they had that rivalry, especially compared to other great rivalries in the Arrowverse, I think that Josh Segarra has a lot of great intense and also emotional moments. He portrays this sadistic, insane, obsessed person so incredibly well, and I just think that he is a great actor who, it's kind of a shame, I've never really seen him in anything else, but I would definitely watch something if he was in it, based off his portrayal of Adrian Chase in Arrow Season 5.
She bled out into the pavement while people passed and did nothing. Your mother built her clinic in the Glades because she wanted to save this city. It can't be saved. Because the people there don't want it to be saved.
So you killed them all?
Yes! They deserve to die! All of them! The way she died!
John Barrowman is just an exceptional actor through and through. The scene I just showed in the season finale of Arrow Season 1 really shows what he can do when he is willing, when he is given the material that he can just go all out. I think that scene is one of the most well-acted scenes in the entirety of the Arrowverse, and John Barrowman was just exceptional in the entirety of Arrow Season 1, and although after Arrow Season 1 he kind of changed as a character, I think that has nothing to do with the acting. I think it has to do with the writing for like Arrow Season 2, 3, 4, 5, and Legends of Tomorrow Season 2 for the character of Malcolm Merlyn. They kind of changed him up just a little bit, but I still think that if they gave him the material, they gave him the ability to go all out in scenes like the one from the season finale of Arrow Season 1, he could have pulled them off, which is why John Barrowman makes it to the top 2 of this list.
The only way back was the Flash, but the Flash was gone, and so I created him.
Why train me? Why help me save so many people?
Because I needed you to get fast. Fast enough to rupture the space-time barrier and create a stable wormhole through which I could return home.
There's absolutely no denying that Tom Cavanagh is just a great actor. Between all the characters he's portrayed and having them somehow feel different and distinct to each other, literally every single one of them. There's the Harrison Wells from Earth 1, there's Eobard Thawne Harrison Wells, there's Harry Wells, there's H.R. Wells, Sherlock Wells, basically every other version of Harrison Wells he has portrayed, they all feel distinct from each other, even though they're all portrayed by the same character, and they all, or at least a lot of them, have a lot of similarities. That being said, this list doesn't really count any of his portrayals of those other characters, only as Eobard Thawne, aka Harrison Wells, but even still, he is going to be number 1 on this list. He does such a great job portraying this character, this calculating, kind of insane, obsessed with the Flash character, who I think that in season 1 just was an exceptional villain, and his rivalry with Barry Allen, although I don't think he's ever had a rivalry as good as Oliver and Adrian Chase in just one season, his rivalry with Barry Allen over the course of the entirety of The Flash is way, way better. It's so insanely good in season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, every single season he has appeared, not every season as Tom Cavanagh, but every season he has, it's just so incredibly good. Because of all those things, Tom Cavanagh makes it to the top of this list as the best actor portraying any main villain in the Arrowverse. So anyway, that is it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know your list in the comments down below. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.